everyone, and welcome once again to the Yorkshire Gamers monthly Wargames update. And here we are in July 2024, and it's the usual episode that you're all familiar with by now. Little review of what's going on at Yorkshire Gamer, all the new figures, all the new purchases, everything that's going on. So sit back with a cup of tea, and we'll be back in a second with all the new stuff. First of all, apologies. Dave the cameraman isn't here today. I don't know where he is, to be fair. He must have gone on holiday. I can't find him. He's somewhere on the mess of the table. So there we go. So a little bit of a surprise to start with is these 28mm Wargames Foundry hoplites. And these are from my friend Dave, who passed away about a year ago now. If you regularly watch these, you'll know the story. And part of the stuff that he gave me or bequeathed to me was just boxes and boxes of stuff that I'm still slowly working my way through. And I've recently found these, and these are 28mm hoplites. They were all painted and unbased in a box. So I've put them together on the bases that I've got all my other ancient stuff on, and got 6 bases of 8 hoplites and 4 skirmishers. There's 4 hoplites spare, but there are also quite a lot of unpainted foundry hoplites as well. So in the future, at some stage, when I get an ancient urge, I shall put some of these together and make some more of them. I've got plenty of ancients 28s. I just don't use them very often. So I'll just change the angle and we'll have a look at some of these in detail. So here's a quick look at the skirmishers, or a couple of bases of the skirmishers. And these are based on 60 by 30s, 2 figures a base, Greek or otherwise bowman, general ancient bowman. And as you can see, Dave was an absolutely superb painter, very bold in the way that he used his colours and used the old classic black undercoat to get those dark lines on. Very much you can tell his style as opposed to mine. But I very much like that. I like painters who have an individual style. So if you just bring one of the hoplite bases forward, there we go. Like them tightly packed, as you know from the podcast. This is how people fight. You fight shield to shield in a close order. You're not 20 million miles away from each other on a Sabo base. I just don't. Personally, I'm not getting other people, I just don't like the look of it. This is the look I like for my natural close order figures. So I'm looking at this, and Dave has done virtually all of these with, guessing these are little big man transfers. And the figures are Wargames Foundry. And just give it a twirl. Superb painting, absolutely fantastic. Very proud to have these in my collection and be able to use them at some stage in the future. So other than the basing, these aren't my work, but they've joined the collection now, and I'm very happy to have them. Let's just grab another base to have a look. Mixture of armour styles within each base. I think what I've done is I've done bases with and without armour to make 2 separate units. But there we go. I think these are really nice. I based them up in my normal style on my new deserty mat, which eventually one day when I start gaming again and I finish work, these will see the table. So these are 28mm Wargames Foundry Greek hoplites and skirmishers. So, along a similar vein, these again are figures belonging to Dave that were left to me, and these have been with me for quite a while actually. They were left with me while we were gaming Italian Wars at my house, and I've just found 8 random Lanceneck arquebus within the Italian in the hoplites, so God knows why they were there. But I've based them up, so that's just a couple of bases of 28mm shot to add to the millions that I've already got. Again, these are Wargames Foundry, painted by Dave. He particularly liked to kind of have a theme running through his units of lance necks. I know some people don't like that and like them all mixed up. You know, that was how Dave liked to do it, and I ain't gonna argue with that. I'm just glad to have the figures. So there we go. There's a couple of bases of Italian War skirmishers. On to things I've actually painted now, after doing a little bit of rebasing, or basing. It's not rebasing, they hadn't been based before. So we are on with our 1/700th scale World War II Narvik project. And just put my hand in, that can show you how big these are. 22 centimetres long by 8 deep are the bases. And this is HMS Bedouin, which is a tribal class destroyer. And it's one of the 4 tribal class destroyers that came into the Narvik Sound escorting Warspite after the initial first battle of Narvik. I've done this in a slightly muted camouflage scheme. There are black and white pictures of Bedouin looking like this, but you can't tell obviously what the bottom colour is, whether it's the blue grey or that green. So I've gone for that. Fits in with the rest of the stuff that I've gone. My usual basing, very happy with this. I do like a tribal class. They are superb, and coming from the IBG models that you might have seen in the past, this one doesn't have a shed load of photo etch to put on as well. There's no deck railings on this, but I think it's a beautiful model. I really like that tribal look. So staying with the ships, we'll put the tribal at the back. We've got a couple of Liberty ships. This is SS Edward B. Haynes. I remember, for the anoraks out there, that I am randomly generating these names. They are genuine Liberty ship names. I'm just randomly generating them for the ship. So the Edward B. Haynes may never have looked like this, but when there was a couple of thousand of them, it's not easy to do them individually in realistic colours, because there just aren't the photographs out there. And at the end of the day, this is going to be for a huge convoy, and I need to be able to tell which ship is which without doing that. So this is in a camouflage scheme that I've nicked from another I think it was American freighter during World War II, just not the same. It wasn't a Liberty ship, it was another one that I found online. And I do like this kind of E at the front, makes it very distinctive. And I have continued my theme with the booms being up and down at various locations. In fact, this one is all up, and this is going to be an extremely useful way. And just let me put that ship to one side while we get the next one out while I carry on talking. And this is the Thomas Hart Benton. Again, another Liberty ship, and you can see on this one I've started to mix the positions of the cargo booms. Now that is, if you look at the pictures from World War II, they're all over the place a lot of the time. It's only when it's at really rough sea that they're all definitely in an upright position. So I'm mixing them up, as we've done here, as like a semaphore system, if you like, again as a recogniser between these ships. I'm hoping in the end to have maybe 40 or 50, not all Liberty ships, but 40 or 50 ships in a convoy. So as I've said just a few minutes ago, I need them to all look different. Now this one, even I make mistakes. This one here, if you look very careful, there's a little bit of a green dazzle camouflage on it, and same on the other side. Let's spin it around, and mostly covered by some pretty heavy weathering. If you look at Liberty ships in action, they are covered in muck and shite. So very realistic look. But I used a too dark grey for the base, so there isn't a lot of contrast there, but I'm not going to redo it. I've got bloody hundreds of these to do, so it's been pressed into service looking like that. I'm happy with it. That's the main thing. So there we go. Not a massive amount painted by myself. 3 ships done this month, and that's kind of, as I've said before, that's my priority at the moment, getting these ships out for Narvik and the convoy game. So the work in progress, won't be a surprise, but at least I've got a base done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is the twerk in progress, and it's been twerk in progress for a couple of months, and it probably will be for another month at least. Priority, as I said, is the Narvik ships, and I've got a German destroyer on the go at the moment, but this is my kind of little side project. I showed off a painted figure from these not that long ago, and I have managed to finish a base, and these are 28mm elite miniatures, French Young Guard Tirailleur in the 1809-1813 uniform. I haven't painted any Napoleonics for a very long time, probably over 10 years, and I haven't painted any 28mm Napoleonics for a lot longer. As I've said before, I used to paint for the Wargames Holiday Centre, and painted hundreds and hundreds of these over the years, and it's nice to get some done again. I really enjoyed painting these so far. Taking my time with them, there's no rush, and this is if I'm going to do anything with these, I am looking at kind of 2027 maybe to put on a game with them. So I'm just enjoying the process of some classic 28mm Napoleonic figures, and getting back into that look of elite miniatures, which I just think is fantastic. Painted up really nicely. The detail on them isn't as crisp as you would expect on a modern figure, but these castings are pretty old now, but they still scrub up really nicely. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit for you without losing too much detail. I think the faces have come out nicely. Not everyone's a fan of the poses, but I like them. That officer especially is a classic elite miniatures pose, and I just think for nostalgia, and which is half the reason of this project, I think these are the absolute business. So there's the twerk in progress for this month. Hopefully I'll have a base or two more to go with some ships next month. In the meantime, let's see what we spent with a bit of our watch. Our watch! Quite a lot, actually. No, I haven't spent that much this month, to be fair. What I'm starting to do now with the ships is I'm starting to get a little bit more obscure. I've got all the destroyers and quite a lot of merchants that I've purchased, as you've seen over the months, and brought in, and now I'm starting to, and kind of paying £10-15 for a kit. Now I'm starting to specialise and getting stuff that I want, mostly for the convoy game. I've got all the ships for Narvik. So we've got this HMS Starling 1943, and as you can see there, from Starling Models, who do quite a lot of unusual and not possible to get ships from World War II in 1/700 scale, and they're quite a small company. And as you can see, this is a Black Swan class sloop. I think I've shown you a trawler, sweeping trawler on here before. So stuff like this, these are about 40 quid each, so they're quite expensive compared to the other kits, but they are very nicely done, and made from some different kind of kit. So here is the ship itself. As you can see, it's a 3D print. It's an extremely fine detail, and I don't know whether we can see on there. Have we got enough light? but believe me, close up it doesn't work quite well with here because you're not seeing the contrast. But that'll obviously need cutting off there in due course. And then it comes with all the parts, again 3D printed, that you need to ease off these kind of cradles or supports where they're built. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to build these compared to the other stuff that I've been building and you've seen in the past, but it is extremely specialised, as I said. And then, as you can see there's a huge amount of photo etch, more photo etch in there for this kit. So for a relatively small model, got some brass wire in there as well. So a lot of detail for a very, very small model ship. If I just bring up the tribal from previous, you can see there that it's what, 2/3 the length. So sloops, frigates, that sort of thing, that I'm going to be using for my convoy games. I'm starting to purchase those, and at 40 quid a pop I'm just getting one a month, just to add to the systems. And I think actually Starling Models is closed for the whole of August for holidays and stuff, so it's like I say, small company, but have a look for them if you're looking for any 1/700th scale bits. They do all sorts, both port based and ships, and they also do a lot of kits that you can't get hold of anywhere else. Not cheap, but pretty good stuff. As well as that, from Starling Models, I bought a couple of packs of these when I can get into it. And should have opened that before I started, shouldn't I? There we go. That would be professional. And this is pennant numbers for British ships, World War II, so I can make up different ships rather than the ones that the kits actually come at. And I've used these, you've seen these, some of these already on the Bedouin, HMS Bedouin, that I did earlier on. I've also been making up different numbers through spares from kits, but I was running out, so I've bought those separately. Very, very handy, and they were £5 each, which I think is pretty good. 40 quid for the ship, pretty expensive for a small ship, but I'm going off piece now. Let's have a look what else I've bought. So I've been at the Elite Miniatures website again. Having got going with my stuff, I have gone back on and ordered everything else that I need to finish the Young Guard Brigade for Plants and Wire that I'm building up, the first one. So in here I have got some skirmishers. These are Young Guard skirmishers. There are separate Tir Alert and Voltigeur, but I can't tell you which are which off the top of my head straight away. And again, in that classic Elite Miniatures style, that old school, and this is exactly what I want for this project. So I am really, really looking forward to painting these. They're a bit different, the skirmish figures, and yeah, I think they're going to be the absolute business. So underneath that unit of skirmishers is a unit of Young Guard. Now I've gone for the later uniform with these, and they basically come the same for both the Tir Alert and the Voltigeur. And as you see, that classic pose that we were talking about earlier on, and the main difference is that they don't have strengtheners on the Shako, but all of them have the epaulettes, which aren't on the earlier 1813 uniform. So we've got a full unit of 36 in there, plus 12 skirmishers. So each unit of 32 is going to have 6 skirmishers of its own, which is pretty cool. And then in here, I like these little boxes they come in, useful as anything. So these are the other ones, the other skirmishers. So if you've got a good memory, you can tell the difference between the two. There's a very slight difference, I think. Thankfully, I've left them in the box, so they've got the same number. And then underneath there, as you can see, there's another battalion of 32 Young Guard. So that's 4 battalions of 32 Young Guard and 24 skirmishers for the Young Guard Brigade. And then, while I was on, as you do, I have ordered these. So in the top, I have got a couple of Young Guard mounted officers, and they are going to form my command base for the brigade. And then underneath here, I have got a battery of French 6-pounder artillery. When he comes into focus, there he is. There's your officer. Like this guy with his hand over his ears. That's a nice little pose, that one. And actually, when you look at certainly the Victrix plastic French artillery, they're not that cheap. And then we've got our gun caissons and barrels, etc. 28mm, that's a 6-pounder. I don't know what 12-pounder's like. Oh my word. Anyway, so there's a battery of guns in there as well. So my figure stash for the Old Guard is coming together quite nicely. Here's scores on the doors, which we do every month. And Facebook, the page is 2771, up 123. Twitter's 2998. I'm 2 off 3,000. So if you're on Twitter, X, whatever it's called this week, give us a follow. Instagram, down 5. Oh my God, the world's falling out. And YouTube's 2499, 1 off 2,500. Slowly getting towards Alex, but Alex keeps pulling away from me, unfortunately. And I was speaking to the guy from Little Wars yesterday, and they're on 85,000. So come on, give us a follow. Up 51. Podcast, big move, up 12, 384. Might reach 400 before the end of the year. Facebook group, that is just gone mad recently. World Cup of Historical Wargames Miniature Manufacturers. Going to talk about that in a moment. But it's just tipped over 4,000 with another 473 joining this month. Podcast downloads, 4,267 have been downloaded this month, which is a hell of a lot. So thank you very much to everyone who is listening to the podcast. And it appears first on audio on Podbean and then on the YouTube as a secondary thing. And the Brews in the Binyard Summer Special's been out for a while on audio. It's just about to come out on YouTube, and that will coincide with the latest recording, which is the one with Little Wars TV and Greg and Miles, and that one I'm hoping to have out by the end of the week. Blue Sky, no movement. It's kind of dying on there now. Everyone went there just because they thought X would explode when Twitter became X, but everyone seems to be back on Twitter now, so I might knock that on the head fairly shortly. But there we go. Let's have a look at what's been going on elsewhere in Yorkshire Gamer. Okay, so the main thing that's been going on is the Yorkshire Gamer World Cup of Historical Wargames and Miniature Manufacturers, which I was talking about last month. And that's basically taken up most of my time for June and July. And here's the round 2 draw. All of these matches have been completed. Victrix beat AB, Empress beat Skytrex, Bloody Miniatures beat Elite, which was a bit of a surprise. Perry Miniatures beat Bad Squiddo, but Bad Squiddo did really well, got a good turnout of votes. Heroics and Ross beat Gripping Beast, bit of a surprise. Bacchus beat Peter Pig. Steel Fist Carrying On beat Minifigs, and Pendraken beat Foundry. The quarterfinals are starting today, Monday the 29th of July, with Steel Fist taking on Victrix, and then it is Empress versus Bloody Miniatures, Pendraken versus Heroics and Ross, and finally the tie of the scales, the battle of the scales, Perry Miniatures versus Bacchus Miniatures, which will start on the 1st of August. All votes are for 3 days. The episode 60 of the podcast is out, and it's a Brews in the Bin Yard summer special with myself, Alex Sutherland from Storm of Steel, and Ian MacDonald from Flags of War. Unfortunately, Sean couldn't make it at the last minute, but hopefully he'll be around for Christmas. So check that out. It's on Podbean. It'll be back out on YouTube soon. So let's leave you this month with this picture of the base of 28mm Elite Miniatures Young Guard that I've finished. Mine is, of course, Dave the cameraman, who has buggered off somewhere. I'm starting to worry about him now. Hopefully he'll be back next month. But until then, enjoy your gaming, enjoy your painting, enjoy your hobby time, and I'll see you all again next month. Until then, see you.